Hello YouTube friends, Gales here. Before we get to today's video, I am happy to announce that I recently made a Patreon, a place where I can upload all my visual novel content, including sprites, screenshots, CGs, story excerpts, behind the scenes look, and more. There's currently 2 tiers, a hatchling tier for those who may be uncomfortable with mature situations. This is the tier just for you. You'll only see all the censored versions and content that is romantic, but more tasteful and modestly censored. However, if you're more into mature and uncensored romance, then you'll want to consider the dragon tier. Adult dragons get access to everything the hatchlings do, but additionally they get the uncensored versions as well. In the future, the dragons will also be able to play all my visual novels in early access before they're released on itch.io, the first of which will be a Halloween-themed romantic dramedy called Monster Boyfriend. If you haven't heard of it, this is a brand new visual novel I've been working on and hoping to finish the first chapter and get into early access for my Patreon members sometime before Halloween 2024. Additionally, I've also got a few X readers on there, both safe for work and not safe for work options. My most recent being the first monthly Patreon exclusive featuring not only an X reader, but also digital fan art of Arisen from Baldur's Gate 3. So if you enjoy visual novel content, X readers, or just want to see what sort of creative projects I've been working on lately, feel free to browse my Patreon. I upload new content at least once a week, so you'll have something to look forward to all month long. As a bonus, I'm hosting a raffle. You can find the details on Patreon as well to find out ways you can earn yourself a free digital art commission from yours truly. So if you're over the age of 18 and you enjoy my artwork, writing, visual novels, or just want to show some support so I can keep making free videos like this one and keep doing what I do, please consider becoming a member of my budding community. And if you can't afford to become a paid member, you can still support me by liking and subscribing here on YouTube. It's free, but really helps me out as a creator. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hello YouTube friends, Gales here to play another Only One of Any Asset game today. This one is called Where There's a Will. So once again, just a reminder, only one of any asset. It's going to be 1,000 words, only one sprite, only one background, etc., etc. Really looking forward to it. Sounds cool. I did glance over the main page as usual, and I think they said that this one was inspired by their Dragon's Dogma 2 characters, which is cool. Love Dragon's Dogma. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I honestly enjoyed the first one more, but the second one was pretty good too. But I'm not going to talk too much about that because we're going to focus on this. So, and I don't know how closely related it is to the game, but you can definitely tell that is inspired by like these right here, which is really nice GUI, sorry. They even got like the, what's it called? The rune. Anyway, they even got like the RC and the G. That's cool. Nice little mock-up. Alright, so let's start. "'Tis late when the pawn hears the Arisen rise from his bedroll. The fire has dwindled, naught but crackling pops and hisses to disguise his steps. And he's none too quiet either, despite his seeming desire to depart in stealth. The pawn watches with one eye cracked till his darkened form recedes from the view round the far trees. Follow. Interesting. Ah, did I wake you? I had hoped my egress would go unnoticed. Make a jest or stick to your duty? Sure. The dead themselves would not notice for all the way you were clomping about. Was I truly that graceless? My apologies. I never was one for poise. 'Tis quite beautiful here. The flower is a mirror to the sky, as though sitting amongst not one sea of stars, but 2. A place of calm. So I'm not sure what, is that like stamina or something? But it seems to require something of us when we select it. Interesting. Does aught plague your mind? Tis not of import. Tis silly. Forgive me for troubling you. You are right. We ought to be heading back. 'Twould be remiss of me to keep you from your bedroll over long. Thus did the pawn and his Arisen return to camp. Though the pawn cannot help but notice the tightness around the Arisen's eyes, almost as though he had aught more to say. The pawn's heart aches at the words left unspoken, and the warmth left smoldering in his chest. Interesting. Alright, so let's go back again. Well, since it's short, we'll try again, and I guess we'll just keep selecting the hand options, I guess, this time. I'm gonna skip this because we already read it, so. Skip it. Alright, we'll press further this time. It appears of import. Do you ever question the way of things? I question the party we keep. One freckled comrade in particular. I mean, mayhap one's duty itself. 5. Tell the truth, I guess. I have my moments. For true, I had feared I'd be the only one what feels lost. At times I wish the dragon had not chosen me at all. Aw. I guess we'll keep selecting it, but I wonder what happens if this runs out. 'Tis your right to feel as such, is it? When all the world depends on me, when I'm to become the sovereign and lead its people, when I'm not and nobody, yet all believe me to be some mighty hero when I'm not. I'm not. Nay, I feel 'tisn't my right at all. I am frightened. Frightened of what each day may bring. Frightened of the dragon. That my strength not be enough. That I would fall to his hand. The pain I may suffer. I mean, yeah, it is kind of a lot of a pressure on the Arisen, you know. So, it's very understandable, given their situation. I will protect you. Of course. 'Tis your own duty, is it not? Nay, 'tis. Sure. Aw. 'Tis not. You're right. 'Tis my duty to ensure naught befalls you, and I'd fain relinquish all to fulfill my charge. Though it be your duty, I thank you all the same. I treasure our time together. At any rate, we ought to return. I'm like to turn as blue as the flowers themselves before long. Thank you for indulging my midnight whims. Aww. That's sweet. Thus did the pawn and his Arisen return to camp. The pawn cannot help but notice the lightness to the Arisen's steps, as though a weight's been lifted from his shoulders. However, aught still smolders within the pawn's heart. If only he had taken a chance. If only his will had burned brighter. But he is not but a pawn after all. His is but to serve the Arisen. Nothing more. Nothing less. Aww. That's sweet. Kind of sad, but sweet. Alright, that was great. I think I got enough to where I can review it. So I'm pretty sure, I mean, obviously I played Dragon's Dogma, so I know a lot about this story, but I'm pretty sure if you haven't played it, you might be a little bit confused as to what's going on. But essentially, basically, the pawns are created to serve the Arisen, and they pretty much do whatever the Arisen commands them to, you know, like go fight that enemy over there, or give me some healing and carry all my stuff for me and stuff like that. That's pretty much the jobs of the pawns, and you can, you know, create your own, and you can hire other people. So that's pretty much the gist of the Dragon's Dogma gameplay. So this seems to take a spin on that, where the pawns are more than just that, and they actually have feelings and emotions and a little bit of humanity in them, which is very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings on the whole. You know, I know some people wish you could romance the pawns, but on the other hand, I'm kind of like on the side of, But I mean, it seems a little bit toxic, because you're pretty much, they're, in terms of romance at least, it's kind of toxic because they pretty much can't think for themselves. That's in the actual game anyway. So it's kind of one-sided if you're like you're the Arisen and you say you know like kiss me or something, and and the pawn's like, well, okay, I guess you're the Arisen, I got to do what you say. That's when it's toxic. So I like that this took it from the point of view of the pawn, and where they're saying that the pawns are more than what they appear, and they have some humanity in them. I'm glad they did that rather than do it from the point of view of the Arisen, because otherwise it would have been very iffy in terms of romance anyway. So, positives, well, I liked the artwork. I like the references to the, you know, like the GUI and the references to all the Dragon's Dogma stats and stuff. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool little graphic here. Story, it was pretty good. Yeah, I liked it, all right. Definitely got a, even though it was, you know, vague, I still was able to follow along clearly enough. Once again, having played Dragon's Dogma, I wasn't confused about who was talking at all, even though there wasn't any names. You know, it was pretty obvious, you know, who was the pawn, who was the Arisen, and who was talking, because the names, the placement of the text boxes and the colors help differentiate. You know, I'm glad the text boxes didn't move around like sometimes people do for like to simulate like a comic book effect. But so sometimes it can be confusing though who's speaking if it's not pointing directly at the character. But I'm glad I didn't have that problem here anyway. That's my point I'm trying to get across. So it was very nice and clear about that in that regard. I was a little confused about the stamina bar ticking down, and that the answers were pretty obviously marked, but it kind of made sense in the end, you know, that it represented the pawn's willpower, I guess, to be human or something like that, like maybe their humanity, but it only goes so far because they only have so much humanity in them that they can't, you know, go outside. They don't really have a willpower of their own. So even if they want to romance somebody, they can't. And I mean, it makes sense even in game, because you can't romance the pawns. You can romance other characters, but not the pawns. So it makes sense. And then as far as constructive criticism goes, really the only thing I have to say is, if you haven't played Dragon's Dogma, you're probably going to be lost and confused, because there wasn't a whole lot of explanation as to what is a pawn and what is an arisen. I mean, it hinted at it a little bit, but it didn't go too in depth in terms of the Dragon's Dogma lore. And it kind of just I think it expects the player to already understand the lore and all that. Which, honestly, it's understandable given that it's only one of any asset game, so it's supposed to be short and sweet. And as we've seen before, it's pretty typical for these to be vague and not go into the lore, because they can't, because they only got 1,000 words, so they got to focus on actually narrating the story and not explaining it. So, given that the limitations, I think this is really good, and I don't really have any complaints about it other than that. But once again, it's understandable why that's an issue. But now that the jam is over, if I were to say, make a suggestion as to how to improve this, definitely a little more explanation would be nice. But other than that, I thought it was great. I think that's all I have to say, but thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!